This is the story of Ryu, the strongest hunter on Earth, who dies because he was a single virgin loser. In the previous episode, we saw how, after entering the second round, Ryu started bullying the goblins, killing them like vegetables, and obtained the class Grim Reaper, the god of death, along with numerous other skills. Meanwhile, Aaron and his bodyguard were in deep trouble as Youngman and his crew surrounded them, wanting to have some fun with Aaron. Just then, Ryu appeared with his death scythe, and everyone got terrified because of the intense aura. Now, with one hand in his pocket and the other gripping his sizable scythe, emitting a bloody red aura, Ryu spoke in a deep voice. He made it clear that he wouldn't let Youngman go unscathed, especially when he knew Youngman's intent to harm someone. Aaron and her bodyguard were left speechless, standing behind Ryu. Youngman, grinding his teeth, witnessed Ryu coming to Aaron's aid. Aaron and her bodyguard expressed their gratitude to Ryu for saving them. However, Ryu didn't play the hero out of the goodness of his heart. He had his motives. Turning back, he explained that by saving Heavenly Demon's right-hand man, they would be indebted to him. This, Ryu believed, could help him achieve his future plans. Plus, he already had plans to take care of Youngman, making it like killing two birds with one stone. As Ryu slowly approached Youngman, the latter grew scared. With a shaky voice, Youngman hesitantly warned Ryu not to come closer, threatening to kill him. Noticing a scared look on Youngman's face, Ryu, with a sly smile, teasingly asked if Youngman didn't want to throw down, mentioning he was itching to test his powers. So guys, today's goal is 3,000 likes. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. Now let's continue. Youngman, annoyed and scared, wondered who in their right mind would try to pick a fight with Ryu, the one who slaughtered goblins like vegetables and ranked first in all the regions. Before Youngman could say anything, a realization struck him. However, Ryu broke the silence, suggesting that if Youngman was scared and didn't want to fight, there was one thing he could do. Youngman, confused, asked what, and Ryu, arms crossed and a smirk on his face, replied that he should get down on his knees, beg for mercy, and bark like a dog. Only then would Ryu consider letting him go. Youngman, bewildered, thought Ryu wanted to humiliate him in front of everyone. Turning back to glare at his buddies, he realized he couldn't do this. He couldn't beg in front of them. Now, Youngman was really pissed, seeing Ryu's smiling face. Although he wanted to avoid fighting Ryu at all costs, for some reason, just looking at Ryu made him increasingly furious. Then he got an idea. Recognizing that he was no longer his previous self, he remembered how he punched the wall and destroyed it, showcasing his superhuman strength. Youngman, thinking he could land a punch on Ryu if he tried and then mercilessly kill him, then he started to laugh arrogantly, addressing Ryu as a bastard. He prepared his fist to strike Ryu, leaving his buddies wondering what was about to happen. Now Youngman slowly approached Ryu while stretching his arms, saying Ryu shouldn't have messed with him, and now Ryu will die because of his arrogance. Then we see Youngman getting happy with a sweet face, thinking he is slowly coming toward Ryu. And just like this, he will land a punch to Ryu's face, and then he will make Ryu's face his punching bag. Then suddenly the red scythe from Ryu's hand disappeared, startling everyone. Again, with a confident look, Ryu explained that as Youngman is fighting bare-handed, so he will also fight without any weapon, as people might think Ryu is bullying the weak, and the fight will be no fun. Now hearing this, Youngman got really pissed off. But Ryu had enough of Youngman's nonsense, and in an instant, he dashed toward Youngman, startling him. Then Youngman prepared his punch, saying Ryu is an overconfident bastard as he stored his weapon, and now is dashing toward him like a sitting duck, and because of that, he will die. With great force, he swung his punch toward Ryu's face, but Ryu dodged it effortlessly, and in return, gave a devastating kick onto Youngman's stomach. Youngman flew backward, heavily injured. Now Youngman was in immense pain, lying on the ground, holding his hand, groaning and trembling. However, he didn't stop cursing Ryu. At this point, Ryu had had enough of Youngman's cursing. Before Youngman could do something, Ryu kicked Youngman's face, stating that he had heard more than enough cursing, and his ear would rot if he hears more. But Ryu didn't stop there. Before Youngman could stand and think about what to do, Ryu grabbed Youngman from his collar and started punching Youngman's face like a punching bag. Now, Youngman was in too much pain, feeling like he would die from the pain. He wondered how the hell his fist could hurt this bad. It was like being beaten by a hammer. At that moment, Youngman realized Ryu's fists were as strong as his, and on top of that, Ryu was also lightning fast. Just then, Ryu prepared his heavy punch, and bam, Youngman was done for. His vision was getting blurry, and his buddies prepared their bows and weapons toward Ryu, launching an arrow toward Ryu's head. Seeing this, Aaron shouted in panic, warning Ryu to dodge it. However, Ryu, being the god of death, couldn't die with this lousy arrow, and he swiftly dodged it. Seeing this, the bow guy panicked, but before he could prepare another arrow, Ryu, with his lightning-fast speed, dashed toward the bow guy. Although the bow guy launched his arrow, it didn't hit Ryu, and in an instant, Ryu came behind him, shocking him. Ryu expressed his admiration for how skilled the bow guy was with his bow. Then, with a swing, Ryu mercilessly ripped the bow guy's hand, and he started to scream intensely. Seeing this, the dagger guy and the bald guy, although scared, also started cursing Ryu. With that, they rushed toward Ryu with their daggers. However, Ryu, with a gleeful smile, used his skill, Seal of Death, and a red eye with a skull appeared on the bald guy's head, increasing his damage by 2x. With his scythe, his attack increased by 2, and with a single swing, he chopped off the bald guy's both legs. The bald guy fell to the ground in agony, screaming and groaning. Seeing this, the dagger guy was just too scared. He felt like he would pee in his pants. Then, Ryu dashed toward the dagger guy, with a serious face stating that as they were holding weapons trying to kill someone, they must also be prepared to be killed by someone with a weapon. Again, with a single swing, like cutting a carrot, he chopped off the dagger guy's hands, leaving him in unimaginable pain with a terrified look on his face. Meanwhile, Ryu was satisfied, seeing that by using Seal of Death and adding it with his scythe, 2x damage was enough to penetrate the armor. Now, the bow guy, the bald guy, and the dagger guy all were lying on the ground, screaming and crying in pain, while trembling. Seeing them, Ryu thought it was not enough for him, so he once again slowly started to walk toward them. Then, we see Ryu had slowly made multiple deep cuts on their bodies, slowly torturing them. At that moment, the pain was so intense that they started to beg Ryu to just kill them, as dying was more bearable than this hellish torture. But Ryu didn't stop there, and with a swing, he separated the blood from his scythe, saying to stop crying like a baby as he wasn't going to kill them. Now, seeing how terrified the trio was, Ryu's job was done. He didn't intend to kill them from the start. He just wanted to show them what might happen if they messed with him, as he had future plans for Youngman and his crew. Turning back towards Youngman, who cowered behind a tree with a swollen face and a bloody nose, Ryu declared that hiding was useless. Not even a god could save him now. With a swift swing of his scythe, Ryu chopped off Youngman's right hand, causing blood to spatter like a fountain. Youngman, left in unimaginable pain, wore a horrified expression. Ryu, coldly observing the scene, reminded Youngman not to be a crybaby. Compared to the pain they inflicted on him, it wasn't even close. Another ruthless swing of the scythe severed Youngman's other hand. But Ryu's brutality didn't end there. Ryu began to mercilessly torture Youngman, shocking even the bodyguard. Seeing this, the bodyguard was too shocked, his eyes wide open, not knowing what to do. He thought Ryu was just too ruthless, as he couldn't believe how mercilessly Ryu chopped their body parts like it was nothing. Even when they lost the will to fight, Ryu continued torturing them until they begged for death. Then continued saying others might feel he is too ruthless, but he liked this type of people. As Ryu was chopping off Youngman's other leg, the bodyguard was in awe, seeing the ruthless Ryu. He was in love. The bodyguard was still lost in his daydream when Ryu's voice abruptly woke him up. After the brutal torture session had concluded, Ryu strolled casually toward Ahrin and the bodyguard, inquiring if they were okay. They responded with a bit of panic, expressing their gratitude to Ryu. Pointing his thumb nonchalantly towards the incapacitated Youngman and his crew, Ryu remarked that they didn't need to worry about them. They were in a condition where they couldn't even masturbate. Ahrin and her bodyguard bowed their heads once again, thanking Ryu for his intervention. Curious, Ahrin asked what would happen if Youngman and his men died due to excessive bleeding. Ryu bluntly stated that if they died, they die, comparing them to wind beasts. Observing Ahrin's compassionate nature, Ryu realized she might struggle in this harsh world. However, the bodyguard interrupted Ryu's thoughts, questioning why he let Youngman and his men live. He argued that killing enemies was better to prevent potential future problems. Hearing this, Youngman grew terrified, but Ryu, with a knowing smile, found the bodyguard intriguing, as he knows exactly what type of world it is turning into, and only these types of people will survive longer in the future. Then, Ryu said the reason he didn't kill those guys was simple. Killing them would not bring any benefit to him. The bodyguard was a bit confused and asked if they might seek revenge in the future if left alive. Ryu glaring at them, who were so terrified that if Ryu even clapped his hands, they might shit their pants. Ryu, with a smile on his face, asked the bodyguard does he think these guys had the will to take revenge, and if they wanted to, he was ready for a round 2 of torture. Then, Ryu elaborated further, explaining that mindlessly killing people would decrease the player population. Hearing Ryu's explanation, the bodyguard had a moment of realization. He grasped what Ryu meant. Fewer survivors in each round meant fewer available spots for people to pass. In that moment, the bodyguard's admiration for Ryu deepened. He saw Ryu not only as strong, but also incredibly smart, finding him downright amazing. Understanding the situation, the bodyguard sighed, declaring that he wouldn't pay attention to these useless trash. Once again, he thanked Ryu for his assistance, but then the bodyguard stopped Ryu, asking if Ryu could tell his real name or even his bank account name so that he could compensate him. Ryu didn't stop, and with a cold voice said, "No need." And just like that, he vanished into the deep forest. Now the bodyguard was left wondering. Ryu had just helped them, and didn't even ask for anything in return. He would have to report this to the heavenly demon. However, a groaning voice interrupted his thoughts. As he turned back, it was Youngman crying in pain. Seeing them, the bodyguard was too eager to kill them. But as Ryu told them not to, he somehow managed to control his anger. Then he spit on Youngman's face, saying, "Disgusting," and they left. Then, the scene shifts, and we see all the players arguing about whom to vote for. They started fighting among themselves, creating a chaotic situation. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the chaos, and it's the green-haired guy. With a serious tone, he stated that only 2 hours were left, and fighting wouldn't bring any good to them. Hearing this, other players asked what they should do and if he had any solution. The green-haired guy confidently said he indeed had a plan, shocking everyone. With a smirking face, he thought that people are just too foolish, easily falling for his skill. We see all the players with hypnotic eyes following the green-haired guy, who gave an evil smile. Then we go back to the past to see what this green-haired guy's ability is. His unique skill is named Rune of Persuasion, and using this when he talks to someone, there are high chances that they will obey his words. Initially, when he got this ability, he was angry, thinking about how he could fight using this seemingly useless skill. However, to test it, he saw a woman struggling to fight 3 goblins. He started shouting that the woman was in grave danger and that they should help her. As soon as the other players heard his words, they started running toward the woman to save her. He realized how deadly his skill was. Just by communicating with someone, he could manipulate their minds to do whatever he wanted. Now the task of becoming the zone leader was a piece of cake for him using this skill. Then the green-haired guy said they first have to decide on some candidates so they can narrow down whom to vote for, and they will select 5 candidates. Hearing this, the players said it's not a bad idea, and they don't think they have any better idea than this. Now, the green-haired guy started to laugh, thinking his plan is going smoothly. The crowd was in deep thought about which 5 people to choose, and the green-haired guy was seeing this, enjoying the show as he knew he would be there as one of the 3 candidates. Now the players started to see him as a reliable guy. Just as he thought, someone from the crowd said he wanted the green-haired guy to be one of the 5 candidates. And following him, others also started saying yes. When all the players were fighting, not knowing what to do, he was the one who guided them, so he could become a good leader. Hearing this, the green-haired guy tried to act like he didn't expect anyone would have said his name, saying he is not capable enough to be a leader. But all the players started to praise him, saying he has the qualities of a leader. From inside, the green-haired guy was just too happy, thinking about how foolish all these players are, easily getting manipulated. Then he said if all the players are saying so, although he didn't want to, he will become one of the candidates. The remaining 4 candidates went like this. They selected Black Scythe, who was ranked first. Then a guy named Life is a Documentary, who was ranked second. Then the green-haired guy said, as all the candidates were selected, now he will start with a warm and kind smile. He said that if he becomes the zone leader, but before he could finish his sentence, Life is a Documentary intervened, saying this is all bullshit. As the green-haired guy turned back, he saw a muscular guy with a tattoo on his neck cleaning his ear with his pinky finger. His name was Life is a Documentary, the second-ranked guy in the zone. With an angry face, he said he can't listen to his bullshit anymore. Hearing this, the green-haired guy, with a serious face, started to say that his use of words was too harsh and people like him would not become good leaders. But Life is a Documentary got furious, saying he is not here to listen to a lecture, especially not from a weak, pathetic guy like him who looks like he still drinks his mommy's milk. Now hearing this, the green-haired guy got a little angry, but he was also shocked, thinking if his skill was not working on him, and if that's the case, then that means his level is higher than his. Life is a Documentary started to threaten the players, saying if they don't vote for him, he will kill everyone. Now hearing this, the green-haired guy laughingly started to lecture him again, saying, does he really think people will listen to him if he threatens them and chooses him as the leader? But before he could finish his sentence, Life is a Documentary's blood was boiling in anger. Suddenly, in a slash, he slashed the green-haired guy's neck and blood splashed everywhere. At first, the green-haired guy didn't realize what happened, but then, holding his neck in immense pain, he was trying to say something, but words were not coming from his mouth. And just like that, the green-haired guy died. Now, Life is a Documentary, blood on his back and clothes, and with a serious expression, said he doesn't like when someone lectures him, and if they don't vote for him, they'll also die like this piece of shit. Seeing this, all the players started shouting and panicking, saying he killed the green-haired guy and he is a psycho. Hearing this, Life is a Documentary pointed his bloody dagger toward the players and with a deadly look said, so what if he killed him? And if someone has any issue, he can come forward, and he will treat him very well. The people who got manipulated by the green-haired guy, still a little hypnotic, started saying, "Life is a documentary is a psycho, and they will never vote for him." Now hearing this, he let out an evil smile. In a flash, he dashed toward them and started slaughtering them. After a while, his whole face and clothes got covered in blood, and he was very happy and excited, killing people without worrying about the corpse. The thought that he can kill as much as people without anyone stopping or arresting him excited him even more. Then he started to laugh with a wide smile and a bloodthirsty look, thinking, now with that, everyone will vote for him. Once he becomes the zone leader, the first thing he will do is kill that arrogant bastard Black Scythe. Meanwhile, Ryu was just chilling and killing some goblins, leveling up to level 16. Now he was a bit disappointed because when he reached level 16, even after killing 200 monsters, he didn't level up at all, as the level of monsters is not higher than 10, so the experience is too low to level up anymore. But then, the 3 hours passed, and a yellow light covered Ryu's entire body. In the next scene, we see everyone slowly getting transported to a different place. Some players were dead, while some were scared, and some were heavily injured. Seeing these horrible scenes, the bodyguard and Aren were shocked and speechless, wondering what the hell just happened here, and why there are so many dead and injured people. Meanwhile, Ryu from behind, seeing this, thought just like always, Life as a Documentary took the leadership role again by killing and threatening people. Seeing Life as a Documentary, Ryu himself admitted that he is a natural-born fighter and is very strong, but his personality was that of a psycho. He continued, seeing his bloody face, that it's a good idea to get rid of a time bomb like him. But then he said it's not the right time to do so. Life is a Documentary called Ryu arrogantly, saying he was waiting for him. Ryu asked what he wants, and Life is a Documentary said not much. With an arrogant smile, he said he wants Ryu to become his underling and work for him. Hearing this, Ryu gave a neutral expression, asking why he should work under him. Life is a Documentary, confidently spinning his dagger, said it's because if Ryu doesn't work under him, he will kill him. Hearing this, Ryu gave a little chuckle, startling him. Then, with a serious face, he said, "So Life is a Documentary wants to fight with Ryu." Ryu chuckled a little and said, now that he is in a good mood, if Life is a Documentary gets on his knees and begs for mercy, Ryu might let it slide. Whatever he said. The musclehead got a little confused, saying he is the one who is going to kill Ryu, so why should he beg for mercy? He started to threaten Ryu again, but Ryu had enough of this, cutting him midway and asking if Life is a Documentary doesn't understand Korean. With a terrifying red aura, Ryu summoned his black scythe and said he thinks once he chops off one or two of his limbs, then he will understand what he is saying. Seeing Ryu and his terrifying aura, the musclehead got scared and panicked, realizing he messed up with the wrong guy. Ryu, on the other hand, tauntingly asked the musclehead why he's not answering, or if he forgot how to talk. Hearing this, the musclehead gritted his teeth and introduced himself as the gang leader of Jungsik. Shouting, he said he's not scared because of some toy Ryu was holding and that he's ready for a fight. Ryu, with a small smile, explained that he's brave for sure, but he can't kill him here. He wants the musclehead to become the zone leader because he plans to use him in the 3rd round. As the musclehead was ready to attack with a sparkling sound, the angel appeared from the sky. Ryu said the musclehead is lucky, turned back, and advised him to pick his opponents carefully next time if he wants to live a longer life. With that, he took back his scythe and left the insulted musclehead behind. Feeling a bit relieved, the musclehead explained that the pressure from Ryu was too enormous. He felt like he could just die from fear. Then, grinding his teeth in anger, he vowed that once he becomes the zone leader, he will kill Ryu mercilessly, slowly torturing him. Now the angel noticed that the humans killed each other and died, but said it's none of her business. With a flick of her finger, she started the voting quest. The timer started at 5 minutes, and they could vote for whoever they wanted by looking at the person for a while. They had to say the word vote in their minds, and whoever didn't vote in this 5 minutes would die. As soon as the timer started, the musclehead stood proudly, thinking about what he would do once he became the zone leader. However, his pride took a hit when he noticed a girl not looking toward him. He threatened her, saying he would kill her if she voted for anyone else. She retorted, saying she already voted for him and didn't want to stare at some musclehead with blood on his face. The musclehead, true to form, shouted that anyone not looking at him would die. When the 5 minutes were over, the angel with a kind smile announced that it was time to reveal the results. A big screen appeared with the names, and although the musclehead was in the 1st rank, he only won by a few hundred votes. Ryu, on the other hand, got a whopping 2077 votes. Furious, the musclehead started searching for people who didn't vote for him. However, the angel announced that Life as a Documentary was ranked #1, making him the zone leader. With a clap, the angel handed over the position to the musclehead, who smirked, thinking that a little longer, and he would make Ryu regret. But before he could dwell on it, something caught his attention. Checking his skill window, he noticed that he could only command 10 people in total, and it was a one-time use skill. After he used it on 10 people to follow his command, he would no longer be able to use this skill, and it wouldn't work on players with classes. This revelation left him devastated. The angel, with a mischievous smile, continued, saying the round was not over yet. There was a hidden quest, and hearing this, everyone started to panic. Then, a quest window popped up, explaining that they could obtain a class after acquiring a class-related item, leaving everyone confused about what this meant. The angel then explained that they would have completed this quest if they had reached level 10 before the vote began. Hearing this, a man scratching his head asked how he could kill monsters when there were no monsters around. The angel's facial expression became a little intense and angry as she said, "There were monsters everywhere. It's just that they were too lazy and scared to find them." The angel continued, revealing that a total of 80,000 people worldwide had acquired a class in the second round before the vote. She also mentioned that someone from their zone had achieved this feat. Everyone was shocked and asked who it was. With a flicker of her hand, the angel displayed a big system window with all the information. There, Ryu was ranked 1 in the entire world and was the first to acquire a class, followed by Heavenly Demon. As everyone stared in amazement, not only did Ryu get a class, but he was the first in the world to do so. On top of that, his class name was Grim Reaper, the god of death. While whispers circulated about Ryu, he stood casually with his hands in his pockets, just chilling. So the video ends here. Write part 4 on comment if you watched till here. Thanks for watching.